It's time for Saint Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.
Hello and welcome to Saint Lucia Magazine, our monthly segment reviewing developments in government across various sectors of healthcare, education, the economy, infrastructure, and social welfare. I am Nivalo Geest. In this recap, we look at what the government has done to bring about positive change and progress for the citizens. Our team and the comms unit of the various ministries in the public service have been gathering stories and highlights of the government's initiatives and projects, and we are excited to share them with you. This is Saint Lucia Magazine. At the top of this review segment, the big story. The Saint Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival 2023 hit all the right notes when the curtain came up on the opening of the festival, which returned home to the Mindo Phillip Park. The stellar lineup of local acts, DYP and friends, was a tribute to Saint Lucian talent and set the bar for strong performances throughout the 6 days of major events. In our big story, here's Kendall Eugene on all the sights and sounds of jazz.
I want to declare the 2023 Jazz Festival open.
From the heart of Castries entertainment capital, Marcia, the crowds came to the well-anticipated opening of the Saint Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival at the Mindo Phillip Park. The lineup kissed the band out of Trinidad and the Jamaican dancehall artist Chensia were the top bills of the night. But DYP and Friends, a mix of local artists with their enthusiastic performances of hit after hit, signaled the start of what was a remarkable opening.
It's exciting tonight to come and chill out, support, vibe, see faces from a long time ago.
I'm excited. It's my first time. I've always wanted to come.
Lots of memories coming to me here. I mean, this is where it all started for me personally.
It is a celebration of Saint Lucian artists, our music, the culture.
As somebody from the Caribbean, I think it's a nice experience to experience other jazz festivals outside of Trinidad and Tobago.
It feels amazing. It's really good to see that it's been held in Marcia.
It's a real pleasure to bring back jazz to St. Lucia and to bring back the opening to Marcia.
From the Pigeon Island, a national landmark, the historic home of the festival, came the first ever Kingdom Night. It was an evening like none other. It was not just about the music, but the spiritual connections forged. It was a call to worship, making Kingdom Night one of the unforgettable experiences of this year's festival.
That's the best night after all. We're here to give glory and thanks to God.
Be down in St. Lucia all the time for about 25 years, coming every year for jazz. I'm back.
I'm here all the way from Texas because I wanted to see Shaggy.
It's amazing. Best show on earth.
While the festival has morphed into a mix of genres, organizers had an evening dedicated to the purist, featuring St. Lucia's very own musician par excellence and creator of October Jazz, a forerunner of the St. Lucia Jazz Festival, Luther Francois and two-time Grammy Award winner pianist Gustavo Casanave. The Pure Jazz Night reminded patrons of the reason the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival is among the best in the region.
So we just had the best time with my musicians. We want to be back.
I enjoyed it.
Different people getting together from different cultures and putting music together, which is a universal language, was amazing.
This man is not Lufa Fossa, this man is Lufa the Great.
This year's organizers created an eclectic lineup that spanned the entire music spectrum. Iconic reggae artist Buju Banton drew crowds of all ages and backgrounds. The mission: how to march toward triumph in spite of setbacks.
It's always good to just get a good release after such a long time of just being so constricted.
The community involvement, the buzzes around, the artists are world class. It's just a spectacular feeling to have jazz back.
I will always be with you, my son.
Saint Lucia talent on show.
I will always be with you, my lady. We have the champion sound.
I was in New York for too long.
Loving the vibes in St. Lucia.
I wanna be loved. I know you think I know what you want me to be. Do you love me from true love? Over me, out and run off dollar man over me. Out and run off dollar man over me. Out and run off dollar son. Saint Lucia, them are coming over me, over me, over me, over me, over me.
When it comes to Bushu, just his voice.
Ooh,
the energy is, you can feel it in the air, man.
Music come to teach us one lesson, and when we come together, we gather not only to revel, we gather to reconnect.
World Beats was a perfect blend of music and community. It showcased the best of what the world had to offer in terms of musical talent, with the likes of Kale, Michael Robinson, Oxlade, Ira Starr, and Kassav fusing a mix of sounds and cultures that truly fit the essence of what the festival is all about.
A bouillon of different things: jazz, blues, Latin, pop.
I mean, it was an amazing experience.
I think if we're looking for a way to grow the festival, this is definitely the direction that we have to go.
Amazing. Even being in St. Lucia for the first time is amazing. Forget the performance. The pictures I've taken. Hey!
This beautiful Sunday will be the best day of the Jazz Festival.
When local legends Ronald O. Henson, Teddyson John Project, Barbara Cadet, Irving East Locktar stepped onto the main stage, the Mother's Day audience were spellbound. International sensations Sting and Shaggy truly made this the ultimate celebration.
Every festival deserves a great headliner, and you really can't get a great headliner better than you have Sting, and then accompanied by Shaggy.
St. Lucia, you ready? Put your hands in the air, let's go! And in the summer
Jazz and Arts Festival has really been beyond our expectations.
Thumbs up for the organizers.
Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, let's go!
In another of our big stories, beyond the electrifying concerts, the St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival is also a hub of creativity. With the dynamic fringe events, the arts components that fosters artistic growth, and the economic spin-offs for vendors and other service providers, this year's festival sets the stage for the continued evolution and relevance of the festival. We now take in the highlights.
Look how bright we shine from Helen of the West to land of beaches and everything else.
Tears, my ear is so distraught from hearing my throat. Take up in petitioning prayers, abound with petitioning bouts if I want to go.
So for me, I turn to writing as an escape, as a sort of therapy, and I hope that I can help offer that to others as an avenue for healing.
Non, moi c'est Jameson Edward, moi c'est un teacher, moi ka danser, moi ka marcher des fois bail et puis moi tout ces bail ça moi ka faire.
Maman, c'est ici. Tout le monde. Sauvez-moi. Sauvez-moi, s'il vous plaît. Ou j'habite-moi plusieurs fois. Pour qui raison on a fait ça? Zot pas qu'à préserver l'histoire nous avec la maquette qui mort à cette école là.
We try to present a mix of various genres that incorporate St. Lucia jazz and look for the best mix in terms of gospel, R&B, reggae and soca.
It's great to be at Moshi Jazz, and I think it's a great comeback, and I think it was great fun.
You're watching Saint Lucia Magazine on the National Television Network. Stay with us.
Did you know that the National Suicide Helpline is available 24 hours a day? That's right. Millennium Heights Medical Complex houses the National Suicide Helpline, and it is available to you 24 hours a day. You simply have to dial 203 if you ever think that you are at a breaking point or you cannot cope anymore. The helpline is there if you need help, especially when dealing with something traumatic. Your call to the National Suicide Helpline will be answered by professionals who can provide emotional support, crisis prevention, and referrals to any other service at the National Mental Wellness Center. Your call will be strictly confidential and secure. Remember to keep the number 203 handy. Call MHMC at 458-6500 or 458-6700, or you could email information at mhmc.lc for more. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for updates at Millennium Heights Medical Complex and on Instagram at Millennium Heights Medical.
The government is continuing to experience fiscal gains, the latest being the surplus achieved in the primary balance for the fiscal year 2022-2023, marking a significant turnaround from 3 consecutive years of deficits. Encouragingly, the government's projections indicate that another surplus is anticipated for the upcoming fiscal year 2023-2024. Budget Director Fiona Hinkson spoke earlier in the month following the tabling of the estimates of expenditure 2023-2024.
When the Prime Minister presented his budget, you would have heard that he spoke about a primary surplus for 23-24. And the primary surplus is around $42 million that we are projecting. And that is basically because we as much as the expenditure may have increased, projected to increase, however, we're also projecting an increase in revenue as well. And there are many projects and investment projects in the budget that would allow for the economy to expand. I would say in more recent times, we have been running a primary deficit where we had to borrow in order to meet our interest on debt. Because the situation we have with COVID, you had government revenue was less, we had the shutdown and so on, and so we were running a primary deficit. Okay, so and that happened also in 21-22 as well, where the government ran a primary deficit. However, in 22-23, the approved estimates when we first started the budget, the approved estimates indicated that we would have run a primary deficit. However, during the course of the year for government operations, we end up with a primary surplus of $29.6 million rather than the $220 million deficit that we had initially projected. So you have the combined effect of reduction in expenditure, improvement in revenue because the economy is in recovering from COVID, and so some revenue lines were doing very well. So you have the combined effect of the recovery of the economy, improved revenue, as well as reduction in expenditure gave the result that we had in the primary surplus that you've seen for us for 22-23. With the surplus, we're able to possibly invest in goods and services that would benefit the entire population, as well as invest in new projects that would assist MSMEs, to expand their business, to recover from, the COVID-19 and so on.
Meanwhile, Director of Finance Imran Williams said there are positive signs of recovery, with St. Lucia opening 2023 as the best performing economy in the ECCU, having recorded back-to-back years of GDP growth in 2021 and 2022. Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre's fiscal policies have laid the foundation for St. Lucia's economy to move from recovery to expansion.
The main drivers of that increase are specifically led by the tourism sector. What we've realized on the 2022 figures on top of 2021, we've more than doubled our visitor arrivals. And with that, you can well imagine, given our main foreign earner, as the tourism sector expands, you have quite a bit of spillover taking place in the other aspects of the economy, such as retail and wholesale, transportation. We are still in recovery mode, and you can look at it based on our indicators. We still haven't met our pre-COVID numbers as yet. But what it does show, nevertheless, is that we're rebounding very quickly, especially now that when you look at, like I indicated, the 2021 versus 2022 visitor arrivals, we've more than doubled. So that's a very good indication of where our economy is going into 2023, 2024 onward. At the rate we're moving, I say within a year, within at least 2023, we should start seeing the transition from recovery into expansion.
The Government of Saint Lucia has managed to secure over EC $340 million in fresh private sector investments for the tourism sector. A surge in demand for Saint Lucia's tourism offering has led to the approval of a staggering 35 projects for tourism incentives in 2022. These initiatives are poised to further propel the country's thriving tourism industry to new heights. Sandals Resorts International has expanded its halcyon property, while 4 prominent international hotel brands have chosen to invest and build their establishments in St. Lucia. Well-known hotel brands Grand Hyatt by TTS Resorts Limited, Dreams Resort Spa and Zoetry Wellness and Spa Resorts, Courtyard Marriott, Lucian by Bespoke Hotel have committed to bringing these prestigious brands with their reputation for excellence in hospitality to St. Lucia. As a result of these investments, the island is expected to witness a substantial increase in its room stock, with more than 260 additional hotel rooms being added upon completion of the ongoing construction projects. This expansion will not only accommodate the growing influx of tourists, but will also contribute to the economic growth and development of St. Lucia. The government's ambitious approach towards enhancing the tourism sector will not only boost the country's revenue, but also pave the way for numerous job opportunities for the local population. Hundreds of St. Lucians can now anticipate exciting new careers within the rapidly expanding hospitality sector. With an increased room stock and a surge in employment opportunities, St. Lucia's hospitality sector is primed for an exciting future of growth and success. Prime Minister and Minister for National Security, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, has given assurances that the construction of a new detention facility to safely and securely hold detainees is scheduled for completion in 2024. Riani Isidore has that report.
Prime Minister and Minister for National Security, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, has laid the groundwork to construct a new detention facility where custody suites once stood.
The custody suites, you know, we speak about crime. We're very concerned about crime. But one of the basic problems is when you arrest people, you must get somewhere to put them. The last government destroyed the custody suites, and no one has accounted for it. Why would you destroy a holding cell, a holding place for people who are arrested?
In 2020, the buildings which housed custody suites and the Central Police Station situated on Bridge Street, Castries, were completely demolished. The demolition pitted the government in a legal dispute with the St. Lucia National Trust. The trust sought injunctive relief in the court to halt the destruction of the custody suites buildings. The trust unsuccessfully attempted to save what was one of the oldest buildings in Castries. The British constructed the Royal Jail, also known as Her Majesty's Prison, in the 1820s in St. Lucia. Before the demolition of custody suites in 2020, these historic buildings endured for over a century in St. Lucia's capital. The police have been adversely affected by the destruction of custody suites. Logistical challenges persist.
We started work on it, and hopefully we should get the custody suites in the next 9 months, which should help the police as far as being able to detain people when they're arrested. Because right now, if you arrest somebody in custody suites and you have to bring him to Marigot, Ancillary, Denry, as far as Suffret to hold him, or just release him. You understand? And these are the short-sighted things that happened, and we're paying for it.
Respite for the trust came via a court settlement with the government and a statement by the Office of the Attorney General on April 21st, 2023. Quote, "The government admits that the demolition contravened the clear terms of the written undertaking. The government unreservedly acknowledges to the trust its breach of the specific provisions of the written undertaking that mandated it to hold further consultations prior to the demolition of the historic Royal Jail." End quote. Meanwhile, a reprieve for the police is on the horizon. Prime Minister Pierre has given assurances the construction of a new detention facility to safely and securely hold detainees will be complete by the end of 2023. From the Office of the Prime Minister, Rihani Isidore.
The United Nations has pledged its continued support to St. Lucia in meeting key UN Sustainable Development Goals, as well as in tackling youth unemployment and rising crime. As Chris Satney reports, those issues were part of discussions held recently between Education and Sustainable Development Minister Honorable Sean Edward and the UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the sub-region.
St. Lucia, like other small island developing states, is working assiduously to achieve the United Nations 2030 Agenda for the Attainment of Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. As such, the UN sees building collaboration with countries like St. Lucia, including assisting with various crises to build resilience and mitigate against climate change, as significant factors that ensure the attainment of the UN set agenda. UN Resident Coordinator for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Didier Trebek, says the UN is pleased with St. Lucia's pace with SDG achievement.
We have done a lot of strides in our collaboration here in St. Lucia. We have a country implementation plan that focuses on, of course, responding to the various crises the country and the region have gone through recently, but also to build resilience, to build adaptation to climate change and mitigation to climate change. We discussed about the overall agenda of the Sustainable Development Goal in St. Lucia, how the ministry is working towards strengthening the coordination mechanisms, but also monitoring the achievements and accelerating progress, given that now we have 7 years left.
Honorable Sean Edward, who holds the ministerial portfolio for sustainable development, commended the Department of Sustainable Development for its tremendous work in collaboration with various departments within the Government of St. Lucia in putting the island on a path towards the successful attainment of the SDGs.
In as much as we have that coordinating responsibility, the work program of the government is such that the actual projects and programs that would lead to the realization of each of the goals, you would find that in the remit of different government departments, but we coordinate.
Other items discussed included the digitization of data, livelihoods, and social protection, and ensuring that the most vulnerable are not left further behind. Mr. Trebek says he is heartened that that St. Lucia is doing much within its capabilities in reducing the worrying issue of youth unemployment.
And all the work that is currently being done, especially to respond to the worrying situation of youth unemployment here in St. Lucia, and all the work that is being done to make sure that as many St. Lucians as possible have the opportunity to access educational opportunities, either at university level with scholarship, but also to access vocational training in order to respond better to the need of the labor market in St. Lucia. And that's very important. If we corroborate this with the issue of perhaps insecurity and crime and violence, it's really our common objective in our partnership with St. Lucia to make sure that social cohesion is sustained.
Meantime, Minister Edwards says he was also very pleased with the overall discussion held and looks forward to St. Lucia further deepening its relations with the UN that will redound to very tangible returns, especially where the youth is concerned.
We've had a problem with youth unemployment for a number of years now, and the Prime Minister, in his wisdom, saw the need to create the youth economy where resources from the national budget have been set aside to encourage young people to venture into entrepreneurship and to basically look for creative ways to provide for themselves and take care of that over-reliance there is on government to make things happen for young people and the population.
The resident coordinator for the UN also pledged the United Nations continued support in dealing with the surge of crime and violence within the sub-region, saying it is a common objective that ensures social cohesion is sustained, making citizens and at-large communities feel safer. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Education, Sustainable Development, Innovation, Science, Technology and Vocational Training, I am Chris Satney reporting.
When we come back, enhancing fisheries management and exploring improvements in curriculum development for CPEA preparation.
When a vehicle is put up for sale on Facebook, there are certain red flags that we should look out for. Surprisingly low prices. If a vehicle seems too cheap for its year, model and condition, it could be a sign of a scam or a stolen car. An unusually low odometer reading. Some sellers may tamper with the odometer or lie about the kilometers traveled to make the car seem more valuable. Sellers who do not take phone calls or meet in person. If the seller only communicates through text messages and refuses to talk on the phone or meet you face to face, they may be hiding something or trying to scam you. Sellers who offer to bring the car to you by the use of a third party. It's always important to check the vehicle history before purchase. Contact the seller for a test drive. Ensure that you have the vehicle inspected by a certified mechanic. Always try to negotiate a good deal and ask for paperwork. Do your background check as it relates to financial institutions, whether that vehicle has a loan to it or that vehicle belongs to someone else. Do not walk with any money to meet up with anybody if you have not physically seen or driven a motor vehicle. It's always important to have the seller meet you at a location that you are comfortable with, for example, near a police station or near a business place. Do not meet up in isolated areas.
The Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, CDEMA, in collaboration with the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, has initiated training for stakeholders in the pilot phase of the organization's Safe Schools Recognition Program. Chris Satney reports.
The Safe Schools Recognition Program is CDEMA's way of acknowledging the efforts of schools to implement safety mechanisms at their institutions to improve school safety and strengthen the school's resilience to natural disasters under the agency's Model Safe Schools program. The rollout of a Safe School Recognition program will benefit schools in 6 CDEMA participating states, including St. Lucia. Acting School Safety Officer within the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, Ian Frederick, says the program recognizes and honors the commitment, innovation and leadership of schools in the education sector within the Caribbean region when it comes to school safety.
This initiative is well placed within the CDMA Comprehensive Disaster Framework, which facilitates disaster risk management for everyone at every phase of the disaster management cycle in every aspect of life, including climate resilience and adaptability.
The program will be implemented in several pilot schools, and CDMA hopes to adopt the initiative in every school on the island. Mr. Hippolyte says the experience from the COVID-19 pandemic has served as warning that the school system has to plan ahead for unforeseen challenges and realities. Only this week, stakeholders were engaged in the formulation of a 2023 to 2028 education sector development strategy for the island.
My office has been working closely to ensure that disaster risk management, education, and planning are given due regard and consideration. We continue to depend on partners like CDMA, JICA, USAID, BHA, UNDRR, UN Habitat, and others to sponsor and facilitate programs that will help uplift the standard of safety in our schools so as to ensure continuity of operations no matter what adversity befalls us.
School Safety Coordinator with CDMA, Bernays Kudra, says the training workshop will help to achieve several objectives, including identifying and applying standards necessary to meet the criteria for a safe school and introduce participants to key elements of the Safe School Recognition Program.
The National Safe Schools Policy Guide of the MSSP Toolkit urges the integration of a school safety recognition program within the National Safe and Green Strategy being developed for implementation in the education sector.
Mr. Kudra says CDMA has joined forces with several regional partners to implement the Caribbean Safe Schools Initiative CSSI, which he says provides the framework with funding from the Austrian Development Agency for wider participation in the World Initiative on Safe Schools, or WIS. From the Communications Unit of the Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, I am Chris Sackney reporting.
The Department of Fisheries sets sail towards a data-driven future as they unveil Calypso database and kickstart a comprehensive training program for enhanced fisheries management. Anicia Antoine reports.
Staff of the Department of Fisheries as well as other government officials gathered for the momentous opening ceremony of the data training program for Calypso, a cutting-edge prototype fisheries database. The database training, held in collaboration with the Food and Agriculture Organization (FAO), marks a significant step towards utilizing data-driven tools for sustainable fisheries management in the region. Over the course of 2 weeks, the comprehensive training program for Calypso will equip fisheries officers and stakeholders with practical skills in utilizing the database for data collection, analysis, and reporting. Participants will learn how to input data, generate reports, and interpret results with the aim of enhancing their capacity to make evidence-based decisions in fisheries management. Data Management Officer at the Department of Fisheries, Patricia Maida, emphasized the importance of harnessing data and technology to ensure long-term sustainability of St. Lucia's fisheries resources.
The first week of our training will involve fisheries statistics, and during the second week we will see hands-on practical aspect of the training where we'll be using our tablets to capture real-time data on fisher, vessel, fish landing, and aquaculture data. We look forward to these 2 weeks of training. I anticipate that the outcome of this training would be better placed to provide us with the opportunity to provide relevant data in an era of data-driven decision-making.
Project coordinator attached to the FAO, Dr. Marie-Louise Felix, acknowledging the constraints of the previous system, encourages individuals to capitalize on the unique opportunity.
The database on its own is not going to achieve miracles. It's understanding the statistics behind it and then how to use the database to get the most out of it is what is going to make a difference. And what we would like to see, because under this project where we are building resilience in the fishery sector to climate change, is for us to be able to have a greater command on what is our stocks are like out at sea, what are our fishermen bringing in, what fish stocks can we maybe exploit some more, and which ones do we need to slow down our level of exploitation in order to avoid complete depletion of the stocks. So there's so much that we could do with the database. But in order to do it, you need to fully understand the statistics behind it, and you need to fully understand how to use it.
The Department of Fisheries' initiative to utilize Calypso reflects its commitment to utilizing innovative tools to enhance fisheries management and promote sustainability in St. Lucia's coastal waters. With Calypso's advanced capabilities and the training provided to stakeholders, it is hoped that the database will contribute to informed decision-making, effective resource management, and the preservation of St. Lucia's rich marine biodiversity for future generations. From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Anicia Antoine reporting.
Thousands of students of grade 6 sat the CPEA exams in May. Ahead of the CPEA, a round of school visits conducted by the Caribbean Examinations Council, CXC, on the effectiveness of the curriculum and student preparation to sit the CPEA exams yielded important feedback which will inform future preparation and execution of the exams. Chris Satney reports.
Some 2,015 candidates from 69 primary schools are registered to write the external component of this year's CPEA exams. This is the second sitting of the exams in St. Lucia and the sub-region, and CXC officials want to know whether the syllabus, teaching approach, and assessment criteria designed for the exams are meeting the expectations of the teachers and students alike within the sub-region. The visits conducted throughout last week at several primary schools across the island are attempting to evaluate the exam successes as well as its challenges. CXC's CPEA Syllabus and Curriculum Manager, Latoya Wedderburn Rose, says the data collected will help review the exams in order to make it better.
The views of our stakeholders, that's very important. CXC is very consultative. We appreciate collaboration. We believe that the student's voice, that is important. The teacher's voice, that's also important. We decided to interview them separately because, sometimes when students are with teachers, they kind of freeze up. But just to say that at some of our locations, the teachers were actually present in the room. However, they did not interfere with the process.
Ms. Wedderburn Rose says some of the best responses came from the students since they are the ones sitting the exam, and says CXC values their input immensely.
The students were asked questions such as, what do you enjoy most about CPEA? Describe some of the things that you disliked. We also asked them what their recommendations would be to strengthen the product if it were that they had to come back to grade 6 to do this all again.
The external component of the CPEA exams comprises mathematics, social studies, language, and science. Each examination paper contains 50 multiple choice items. Testing and Assessment Officer with St. Lucia's Department of Education, Innovation and Vocational Training, Priscilla Sylvester, says CXC's evaluation of the CPEA is timely as it gives the examination unit a chance to assess how well it is doing to meet the needs of the students who are the ones sitting and benefiting from the CPEA.
For some students, they express that it is a difficult process. For the teachers as well, the students express that it is a challenging process for the teachers as well. The teachers, some of them, while they understand and they see the merit in CPEA, they also express that there were challenges along the way. And of course, this is where now the feedback that we are receiving through this process will assist us in meeting their needs and that of the students.
Primary schools are expected to present their scores and samples for the internal component of the CPEA by Thursday, May 19, 2023. The internal component of the CPEA carries 40% of the overall mark and involves the submission of a school-based assessment. From From the Communications Unit of the Ministry of Education, Sustainable Development, Innovation, Science, Technology, and Vocational Training, I am Chris Satney, reporting.
We have come to the end of St. Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up. A huge thank you to all who contributed to the production of this program, the National Television Network, GIS team, the communication officers in the various ministries, and all Bs. Thank you for joining us. Be sure to join us next month for another episode of St. Lucia Magazine on NTN, Channel 122, and the social media pages of the Government of St. Lucia. Until next time, I am Nivalo Geist.
It's time for St. Lucia Magazine, your monthly wrap-up.